I am glad to be back. Uh, on the last stream, uh, you guys watched the last three games of the season and the extra game that we sadly lost. So here is what the game told me my season score was. I'm a little disappointed with that because of how bad the team did, how bad the team was. It wasn't really fair to me because we had so many injuries. We had no pitching, no bullpen, and we still came within one game of being in the playoffs. So, take it as I will. Attendance went down. We didn't lose money, but we were close. So this year, my budget is a little bit less. Owner's not too pleased, but he's not disappointed. He's tolerant, so that's the good thing. As of right now, these are my goals for the next year, or next couple of years. As you can see, some have long-term aspirations. And I got to move some things up, get better. Hopefully, injuries don't play as much of a part. Well, let's go and do a review. As the opening screen showed, the Milwaukee Brewers were the World Series champs in 7 games this year. It was actually a pretty good playoffs to watch. A lot of intense, tight games, tight series, 4-3, 4-3 for both league championship series. A couple of the division series went the distance as well. So, and 2 wildcard went the distance as well. So that's exciting for me. There were a bunch of accomplishments last year. One was Murdoch, and everyone knows how high I am on Murdoch. Oh, that's not it. Milestones, there you go. Murdoch. Okay, so here's all of them. 2,500 strikeouts. Chris Kreef, who just signed a new 2-year deal for extension, he got his 1,000th run. So that's pretty impressive. Still a damn fine player. Mike Rose got 2,000 strikeouts. Pretty good. Was a former Cy Young Award winner back in 2010. I meant Tim Patrick Award winner. And let's see, Herrera also, who won the Cy Young this year, the first time since 2014. He also had his 2,000 strikeout. He is looking like a super future Hall of Famer if he can stay healthy. Mike Graham got 2,000 hits while playing first base for the Dodgers. A couple years left in his contract. See if he can hold it up. Pretty good. Was a pretty good player in his prime. And then, oh yeah, 1,000 run batted in, 1,000 runs scored. And then one of the worst pitchers that I've ever known got his 2,000 strikeout. Really good strikeout ratio, not so good at everything else. Gives up a lot of hits, but he did play on some really bad teams, so it wasn't always his fault. His runs per game is only 2.75, so I can't fault him for everything. But he does give up a bunch of home runs, so that is to be expected. And he's never had an ERA above 100, ERA plus above 100, so yeah. But he has had one good whip season, and that was his first year. So, still, he made a milestone, had a decent career. He's going to get signed this year because everyone needs starting pitching depth. And as we proved last year, that's kind of important. Maybe I should put him in my minor leagues. Okay, what is next? Let's check out. As I did before, there were only 2 3-home run games. Both happened at the beginning of the year. There was no 6-hit games this year. They've been pretty rare in my universe, which is pretty good. Even rarer has been 15 strikeout games, which there were none. There was a couple cycles, which aren't as rare, a lot of contact. They all happened within a month of each other, and Chris Kreef got it. So that's pretty cool. Andy Burke's been getting them. and Juan Herrera. Not a bad player. Not a bad player at all. We did have 3 no-hitters this year. This, I believe, was the most unlikely. Uh, he had one for Washington, and then he was let go, released by Washington, signed with San Diego, and then called up. Did not start a game for San Diego, and now he's with Atlanta. But hey, he threw a no-hitter, so that's pretty good. That was his first career shutout. Yeah, take it as you will, man. I'll take that any day of the week. I love stuff like this. It's like just cool. The next one was by, I cannot pronounce his name, so I'm not going to try. He's a decent pitcher, getting no hitter. Not out of the ordinary for him. And same with this guy. Hey, if it happens, it happens. Not the best pitcher in the world, but it happened. So this one was near the end of the season, and these two were all near the beginning. No 50 home run seasons, no 100 RBIs, and no Triple Crown this year. Those were some of the cool things that happened. Let's see. Well, so some of the awards that won. This man, he won the MVP award this year. He came in a very close second, a 5-time winner. Definitely, he's the front runner to win it next year because that broke his streak of 5 in a row. So he kind of wants to win that again. Team right now that is picking up in the off season, trying to get themselves out there, is Kansas City. They've made a lot of moves this off season. Let's go to the off season summary. Okay, yeah, they've already brought in 5 more WAR than they've lost this off season, and they're going hard. Not sure why. They even traded their top prospect, so to the Yankees. So they're trying to go for it now. I think they see an opening. Might as well get in there when you can. They've brought in a bunch of, no, that's the Yankees. There is Kansas City. There you go. Don't know why it's so light. So you guys can't see it, and I can barely see it. They've brought in a bunch of players through trade, and then these 2 big name free agents and a center fielder. They didn't really lose much. They lost Eddie, as you can see, and just a bunch of guys who didn't really play so well for them, which is pretty good for them. So excited to see how it's going. Now to the Rockies, because we all want to know who I've decided to bring on to my team this year. Okay, let me go to them. Give me 1 sec. Okay, so let's go to the Rockies now. Colorado. Okay, so who we brought in this year? So I've also gotten a new catcher. Made a nice trade with Oakland. I'm not sure if he's going to develop so much. Doesn't have that much of an eye. Already reached the potential in eye and gap power, but I'm hoping he can develop a little more power and contact. He's decent on defense, so it's going to be pretty good for my pitching staff. He's a fly ball hitter, which is perfect for Colorado. I do not have a backup. He had gotten a trade with St. Louis. He was a Rule 5 pick last year. Decent, just average all around. I did add him to the 40-man roster. So there might be a battle to see who makes the cut. He's a little bit better defender and also can hit lefties. So I might play him a little more against lefties. I also, no, standings, have this older catcher ready to go, offering him a contract just to have a nice, good work ethic, good adaptability. He's a spark plug, uh, and nice veteran guy to help a young guy forward who can also play. Was on the championship Tampa Bay Rays, so he's been around. And now, yeah, he's near the end of his career. If any injuries happen, he can start. He did start some playoff games. So he started 80 games for the Twins last year too. So it's not like he's not going to start. He's not a great hitter, but he'll get on base and he'll do what he needs to do. And he's a decent defender, which is what I'm looking for, honestly. My defense last year was just downright horrible, and that does not help your pitching staff, especially when you don't have very good pitchers. So, okay, what is next? What is next? Okay, also, so as you guys know, my first baseman was a free agent last year. I decided to let him go to free agency, and I signed Juan Maltavado. He was playing with Washington last year. If you do remember, he was that hitter that I was very worried about during the last 3 games of the season, which he did goddamn well in. So, with right regard, I was worried. I want him on my team. He hits lefties better than Luis does. He doesn't get on base as good as Luis, though. So that is the drawback. But I'm hoping his gap and his power will be a little bit more than Luis was offering me and will make up for the lower on base percentage. Um, I have him for a 9-year deal. Yeah. 4 years, he can opt out. So hopefully, if we're doing well, he'll opt in. Then I got a team option, player option to near the end of his time with me, as I don't have any first baseman really like set to take over anytime soon. I thought that was a very legitimate signing, so that's good there. As you all know, Murdoch was a free agent, so he is gone. I am not trying to find any infielders. Aldebert will take over at third base. Good defender, plays third base, having a great season till he got hurt. And I'm going to put Green back at second base. His defense was not good, and it was very bad in shortstop last year, so that really didn't help me. Him being back at second base, hopefully continue the same offensive production will help me going forward. And at the moment, Novdeep will be my starting shortstop. I have no other plans at this moment to bring anyone else in because I have Ravi in the minors, who once he develops will take over at short, and then we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll move Novdeep to second. Maybe I'll trade him. That is something to see at the future time, depending on how I want to be with Green. Green will be 30 this year, so and just getting into his arbitration. Maybe sign him to a little bit of long-term deal, but I don't want to know how long I want to go with him because I do have a nice young guy, so maybe get the infield all young. We'll see. And Pat's going to be a great backup along with Connors. We're going to fight out to see who's going to play backup for me next year. I have gotten a bunch of different people in my outfield. As you can see by the outfielders here, I am looking to see which one's going to take over. Danny's going to be my right fielder, and that's going to happen. I did trade Moore. I did not like Moore's on base percentage. I didn't like He just was too streaky for me, and he's a little older. He's young, but at the same time, he doesn't have the potential, the contact gap, and power that I like. And Alston Moore was actually better on defense, so it's probably a risk for me. I just don't like. I didn't like Moore. I like guys who have a little bit higher on base percentage, at least 330. And Moore was below 300. And unless he really broke out, I do not see him getting above 330. He was the luckiest pickup I've ever seen off waivers, and he's going to be my starting center fielder. Downright awesome. So glad I have him. I picked him up because good potential, good potential. You don't know what you can see out here. Alfredo isn't the best player, good defender, but maybe not someone I want on my full roster throughout the year. And Farnell was a Rule 5 pick. If he doesn't play so well, or if I don't see a fit for him, or if I sign somebody, maybe he ends up making the roster, or maybe he ends up not. This is a no lose situation. I have a pretty good outfield team with Blackwell coming back, so it's not to start in left field. There's that, and I got him for another year. I traded for this guy, who's also a risk. Decent defense, hasn't really developed yet, but has the potential to. Maybe my hitting coach, maybe something will help him get up. So my outfield looks pretty set right now. Going forward, okay, and I need a bounce back season for. I hope he has not. Like, I really need to have bounce back season for him. Ever since I signed him, it's been bad, and if he gets any worse, that opt out is going to look. His contract's going to look like shit. So, and I've already signed one bad contract. I also have gold for next year. Now, gold was terrible for me, but at the moment, I can't complain about any starting pitching I have because I need starting pitching. I need everyone, all hands on deck, and I'm not paying his full salary, so I'm fine with it. He improved near the later part of the season, so I'm very happy with that, but I'm really going to need a good year from him in his final year because he has not shown me much in terms of the ERA or his FIP was a lot better. Like last year was good, it was below it, but 2 years previous, and his wins per outing have been just like he has negative. He's cost me 7 wins since he's been on this team. Now, not all. I've only been for the last 2 years, but that's not good. So I really need to see something from him because I got no one else. I signed him to a nice deal. He didn't want anything long term, so that sucks. But I got him on a nice 1 year deal. Hopefully we can get back to the playoffs. He was good again last year for me, my best pitcher, and his FIP was not as good as when he first came to me, but hey, what can you do? And he give up a lot more home runs. Injured, had a rough year from both FIP standard and from a ERA plus standard. So that was disappointing. His strikeouts were down, his walks were up, and his home runs were up. So I'm gonna need to see some more from him, and hopefully this year will be the year because I'm gonna need to sign one of these guys. All three of those guys I just showed you are all free agents, and I don't have a very good pitching coming through the system, and I don't want to make another mistake at the moment with a free agent contract that will hinder my team. The only other mistake I have made for Chen is not going to hurt me so much because it's under $1 million, and he's a good minor league depth piece. So, so I'm fine. But I'm going to need some really good performances out of my starting staff. Now, there was some other people who did start for me who will get a shot. Eagleton will definitely get a shot in the rotation in spring training, but he would be a very good bullpen piece. Decent cost, came through for me last year. Arturo was horrible out of the rotation, but he pitched well in his last 4 starts in the minors. So hopefully that can lead to better things, but I'm not sure if his future is in the rotation for me. I picked up a bunch of other guys. I'm looking forward to see what Kennedy can do with a full season for me. In his limited outings for me, he was not half bad. So I think he could be something pretty special against righties mostly. Another guy, I figured I'd sign him, not let him go. He was decent, nothing too shabby, nothing too bad, nothing too good. So I need to start a couple games. So impressed. Obviously, Myers, you know how much I loved him. Last year was off the charts. He was so good. ERA plus did not give him a good rating for some reason. Maybe because his ERA was a lot higher, a lot more earned runs, a lot more hits, but he walked a lot less and he struck out a lot more. So I'm happy with that. Let's see what his FIP was, and his FIP was, man, 344. So I'm happy. I'm very happy with that season. His season I was not so happy with. He did end up getting his ERA below 4, but he was not good. Now, I guess if you're comparing to last year, he was so good. So I could see how I could see how it would be a negative, but it was just it just seemed like a really bad year. His walks were way up, even above the last like since 2009. So hopefully he gets back to level next year. He was still better than average, and his FIP was still 80. So I'm not like crying disappointed. I'm just saying it was a rougher year than I'm used to for this man. Still top notch pitcher and going to be one of my setup guys next year. Morales was the biggie. His whip went way up. His walks went up a little bit. His strikeouts went down. He did allow less home runs, but it just didn't seem like a good enough year from the total eye pitching test. He pitched way better through FIP, so fielding played a big role in my pitching this year, and I'm hoping that better infield defense will help my pitchers out because they pitched a lot better than I thought, according to the underlying ratings. Other things like walking a little more batters, that doesn't help because fielders can't do anything about that. The biggest surprise of the year was Lupe. He came up and went down and then came up again and stayed, and he was on top notch. I love his strikeouts. His walks most likely will go down if they stay around the same. I'm fine with that. He was one of my top pitchers near the end, and his FIP was downright amazing. So, looking for more out of this guy. He's definitely on the team next year, no ifs, ands, or buts. And Miller Ice did sign to a nice 5-year extension. I think he's worth it to be a closer. He didn't have the best year, but at the same time, it is Colorado. So I can, like, in Colorado, 4.17 ERA. His only home run he gave up was here. 17 earned runs, 46 strikeouts, 18 walks. On the road, he didn't even strike out anybody on the road. So, but he didn't walk anybody either. And on the same amount of innings. So I'm excited, and this time I'm gonna let him go through the rough stretches on his own and not remove him from starting rotation. His FIP was just amazing. So as long as he can pull the walks down a little bit, I'm good because the home runs were great. Yeah, which surprises me too. I picked this guy up from a trade with Miami recently. Decent stats, good whip, good strikeouts, good ERA. Another good solid guy for my bullpen. I don't have too many of those, so that means like Dave can go to the minor leagues and work on starting pitching. Arturo can be a starting pitcher. Even Eagleton. I kept him around because I thought I'm going to need him. Things have changed. I might not need him anymore. He might be a nice trade chip because he was not good for me last year. So, and even his FIP says he was not good. So, better, obviously better than that ERA, but maybe he needs a change of pace and see what I can get for him because he's not a bad pitcher. Yeah, so there you go. There's some of my review of the team. Let's check it out. Okay, let's go around. So Kevin, won the Rookie of the Year award, and rookie, Tim Patrick award, and my God, was he an amazing pitcher last year. His only weakness is home runs, but when no one gets on base, he is just a fierce to be reckoned with. So this division is kind of hard to pitch in right now because you have Joe, who is a two-time Cy Young Award winner, Tim Patrick Award winner, who is just off the charts good. You have Josh, who won a World Series with me. So he pitched in Colorado, he knows how to do it, and he knows how to win there. But he is firing on all cylinders for Arizona and is still one of the top pitchers in the game. And you got Kevin, who you can't beat. So part of the reason why I'm very disappointed is because I signed a two-time Cy Young Award winner, and he hasn't given me anything worth writing home about. I need someone to step up to take that another pitching step to really put this team over the edge. Because it's been shitty. Now, yeah, I know I won the division last year without his help, but how am I supposed to get through the playoffs when I have no one who I can trust to win me that one game, right? So, also a bit of serendipitous luck. I was offered this trade. The game did not, like, I did not cheat the system. They offered it to me. It has turned out to be an amazing trade for me because he has gone down. So I traded this guy away, and he's lost speed, lost pitches, lost stuff, lost stamina, and he is 4 years left on his contract. So I have signed two bad contracts since I became the GM of the Colorado Rockies, aiming towards being three. This is not a good look so far. Thank God that the Indians offered me Blackwell because I don't think I could have. I don't think I could have done this any other way. Now I did add a couple other guys to get the fifth overall draft, fifth round draft pick, but and Luis, but he was bad for me, and he was decent for Cleveland, but I don't like he is not good. He's not worth any of the money he's going to be getting. So I got out of that pretty well. Lacombe was also bad since I let him go. So I'm pretty happy with the guys I've traded away. I know it's been rough. Kanye looks to be someone who's going to be good. We'll see what happens. The other guy I did trade away, who actually had a reasonably good season, was Chris. And he got signed by Cleveland, so like all the former pitchers are going to Cleveland. He was pretty good, to be honest with you. He was in the World Series with Chicago, one of their best bullpen arms. So really did help them out there. That might be a bad trade for me, as Jorge has no longer developed. He did come around near the end of the season to have a really decent batting line, but you guys know from previous videos that it wasn't so good leading up to that. So hopefully he continues to develop. I should promote him to single A, and we'll go from there. Yeah, so that's basically the review.